In September 2020, Zoe Buhler, heavily pregnant and due for an ultrasound in an hour, was handcuffed in her kitchen in front of her family.
What on earth? Excuse me, what on earth?
Just put your phone down.
Can you record
to-
this? I'm in my pyjamas.
What's
I have
this?
an ultrasound in an hour because
Yeah,
I'm
she's pregnant, so
I'll take it easy.
What's this about?
But I have an ultrasound
Just let me
in an
finish.
hour.
Let me finish and I'll explain. It's in relation to a Facebook post, in relation to a lockdown protest you put on for Saturday.
Yeah, and I wasn't breaking any laws by doing that.
You are actually, you are breaking all. That's why I'm arresting you.
6 officers stormed into her home after she advertised a socially distanced rally in Ballarat, Victoria on Facebook. The Rally for Freedom was a desperate cry for help against the tyrannical COVID lockdowns imposed by the Andrews government. The rally never happened, but for 2 years she faced the stress of charges, but then they were quietly withdrawn. But that hasn't meant Zoe's life has gone back to normal, or that she forgives those who allowed her arrest to happen. Tonight, after years of quiet dignity, she speaks out in a Sky News exclusive. Zoe Buhler wants justice, and she deserves it. Zoe, thank you so much for joining us today. Walk us through what happened that day. What had you been doing when the police suddenly barged in?
I was actually having a nap because I was pregnant and very tired. There was a knock at the door. My partner answered the door. The investigator at the door said, "Is Zoe Buhler here?" That's all he said. And as soon as my partner said, "Oh yeah, I'll just go and grab her," they just started barging in the house. So they just barged straight past my partner, saying, "Zoe, you're under arrest." Was terrifying. These, I think there was about 6 of them, were suddenly right throughout my house. My children were down in the living area playing. I was having a rest. So they just swarmed the whole house. They were in every room. And I didn't know what to do. I pulled out my phone. I thought, I'll call my mum, maybe she'll help. But no, that wasn't the case. And then I thought, maybe I should call the police. There's all these strange people in my house. Like, what is going on? I've got intruders in my home. I should call the police. But obviously they said that they were police officers. So I thought that was no point. And I don't even know why, but I pulled out my phone and I clicked live on Facebook, and I thought maybe someone will see my live post and be able to help or rush over to my house or something.
I mean, you must have been terrified, and as a mother, again, your protective instinct must have been wanting to make sure your children were okay, because they must have been so scared as well.
Yes, I was a shaking mess, which you probably couldn't actually tell on the live, but I was sweating from head to toe and I was shaking and I was very, very scared. I could see my children. I could see that they were all right. Obviously being very early in my pregnancy, I was terrified that I was going to lose the baby because I was in just such a heightened, scared state.
So, we saw the footage of when the police were in your home, but what happened after that? Where did they take you?
So after that, thankfully they allowed me to get dressed and they did uncuff me. And then they took me down to the police station for an interview in the interview room, took some fingerprints, I was there for about 3 hours, I think it might have been about, roughly. Yeah, so I was very confused. Obviously I didn't understand that I'd done anything wrong or anything like that. So yeah, when they were interviewing me, they were asking me lots of questions and they kept asking me under the current lockdown rules, do you understand what you were doing was wrong? And the whole time I was telling them I didn't understand what I was doing wrong at all. It was all very confusing. I kind of couldn't wrap my head around why I was arrested. Yeah, it took ages to wrap my head around it because I just had no idea. Yeah.
I mean, you're pregnant, you're a mum, and Police barge into your home, take you down to the police station and fingerprint you like you're some criminal when all you done was write one sentence on Facebook.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know I actually spent the next day in hospital with I was experiencing a possible miscarriage, so all the stress actually did take its toll. But luckily she's stuck in there, so...
Oh, Zoe, I'm so sorry to hear that. And she's now a beautiful 2-year-old.
Yeah, she's a fighter.
But this has been traumatic for your family. You know, is this something that your older children still raise?
Only a week ago, my 8-year-old daughter was saying to me, Mummy, why did you get arrested? And I told her, you know, oh, the police made a mistake, honey. You know, Mummy actually didn't do anything wrong. And she said, well, no, you must be a bad guy, Mum, because the police only arrest bad guys. Yeah, so it was pretty, you know, upsetting, you know, that my kids are looking at me like I must be a bad guy, and trying to explain that to, you know, a 6- and 7-year-old that, no, Mummy's not a bad guy. They can't really wrap their head around that the police made a mistake, you know.
Yeah.
So...
No, and of course, I mean, you don't need me to tell you, but you were incredibly courageous, and it's, you know, a great injustice that you were treated like that, having people storm into your place, fingerprint you, treat you like a criminal, put you through that, especially when you were pregnant. It's, you know, your story went around the world. No one around the world could believe that this was what life was like in Australia during the COVID lockdowns. You must have had so much reaction internationally. Yeah,
I can't even remember. I think it was like 10 million views on the Facebook Live. It might have even been more. I can't remember. But it's upsetting, really, because, you know, everyone around the world got to see me because I clicked live on Facebook. There is also a lot of other people who are experiencing, you know, similar things. So... it was a very scary time. It was really scary, you know. We all like to say we're proud to be an Australian, but at that time it was scary to be an Australian, really. So,
I mean, the government had basically turned Victoria into a police state.
Yeah, it was horrible. We all felt like we were prisoners.
And so what happened afterwards? You know, I know you sadly lost your job during Melbourne's never-ending lockdowns. How else did this impact on you, the way you were treated? Yeah,
it put a huge strain on myself, my partner especially, because he was the person who was closest to me while I was falling apart. Yeah, it actually, you know, I really struggled with it all. I would see a police officer, and as sad as it is, I would be filled with anxiety, and yeah, it was horrible.